So I know that you all have seen a vlog that I recently did about my trip or basically the trip that details where I am right now. It was basically a Labor Day vlog where I narrated my trip with my family to Jekyll Island down in South Georgia. But I wanted to also, while I'm here, record another video because I'll be out of town soon as well in Panama. I wanted to record a video really quick basically explaining why it's important. I think the title of this video will be something like why it's important for you to learn curse words in Spanish. And this video idea came from the fact that in the video that I created where I talked about how arrogant language learners always suffer and they always struggle to learn a language, I mentioned that when my student was saying an inappropriate word, I let him know that that was an inappropriate word, like that was a bad word, a derogatory term. And a lot of people were saying, well, Michael, you shouldn't teach kids bad words. Like, you shouldn't explain what bad words are to them. And I get their point there. I do understand why they would say that. But it lets me know that they may have limited language learning experience, language teaching experience, and limited experience working with children. And so, first off, the reason why it's important, I'll give you an example in the context of my job, why it's important for the students to understand bad words. Again, I don't explicitly teach them bad words, but if they say them or if they hear them and they ask me about them, I don't shy them away from asking that. I don't say like, yeah, don't ask that. That's a bad word. Don't say that. I do let them know that they're saying bad words, but I don't discourage the learning of inappropriate words. And the reason for that is because they are a part of the language, and it's important for you to know that so that you can defend yourself in the language and understand what you're saying truly. Here's a point. Here's the point that I'd like to make. A couple of years ago, I had a student from a Southeast Asian country that knew English at a decent level, so she understood what other students were telling her, but she did not understand curse words, right? She had never been taught that. She learned English in her country in a very formal academic setting. And so when she got to the suburbs of Atlanta and she's hearing all these curse words or hearing kids telling her to say these different curse words, she didn't know what she was being told to say. And so long story short, ironically, another one of my English learning students whose English was just super advanced, in the middle of class one day when they were working collaboratively, he ran a mind game on the student basically. He told her like, hey, you should go to this other student and say this word. Well, what he was telling the other student to do was to go over to that other student and say a curse word. He was encouraging that student to basically say some inappropriate things about themselves to the other student. This student in question, the young lady that I'm telling you about from Southeast Asia, she did this, and the entire class started laughing at her, started messing with her, and it really got to a point where it was seemingly bullying, basically. And so that's a perfect case of why it is important for you to understand what different curse words are. I'll give you guys another personal example. And again, because of the setting that I'm in right now, this might be a discombobulated video. But I'll give you another example. On my most popular video about how I learned Spanish, I'm not familiar with all curse words in Mexico, okay? And so somebody left a comment maybe a week and a half ago saying like, great job in Spanish, right? They're like, buen trabajo con este video. And they put a curse word that I was unaware was a curse word that starts with M that ends in E in Mexican Spanish. Again, I'm not familiar with all curse words in Mexican Spanish. And so the commenter called me this, and because I was ignorant to the curse word that he called me, like an idiot, instead of blocking this commenter, I go on the bottom of the comment and say, thank you for watching, gracias por ver, not realizing he was insulting me, you know what I mean? And so it's extremely important that you make a conscious effort to expose yourself to the curse words, to ask people that you know to explain different curse words and derogatory terms to you, even if they're reluctant to do so. It's important to learn those things because they are used, and you might find yourself in instances like the one that I described, like the one that my student was in, or in this next instance that I'll explain to you guys right now. So I also think that it's extremely important to expose yourself to curse words from a lot of different countries. I say that because I have personal experience with this. As you all know, there are words in certain countries that have certain meanings, and in other countries they mean different things. And I'm thinking about a specific example from my personal experiences where I used a word that is normally used in Colombia. You guys know Again, I was primarily taught the Spanish language from Colombians, and so I was taught a word in Colombian Spanish, and I'll tell you what that word is here, that has a completely different and very vile meaning in Central American or Mexican Spanish. And so, long story short, you guys know I work as an ESOL teacher, and so a couple of my not my parents, but a couple of the parents of my students came to school to get help with their students' schedule and with some absences. I think their children were going to go to Mexico at one point, and so the parents came in, and I was guiding them through the registration process for like excused absences or absences con anticipación, right? Like absences where you forewarn the school that you're going to be absent. And I was standing with these two parents. Ironically, they were sisters. And I was like, yeah. And I actually paused after I said this, and so it was even worse. The dramatic pause made it even worse. But I basically told them like, yeah, vamos a coger este. Those of you that understand what I just said there, two Mexican women know what I just said, especially with the pause. Again, I said, yeah, see, I was helping them get some papers, and I'm like, you see, pues vamos a coger esta, but I paused, okay? If you don't know, coger in South America, particularly in Colombia and Venezuela and in the Caribbean, means like to pick up, to grab. It could also mean to get on a bus, take a route. It has a lot of different meanings. And in Mexico, coger means an action. It means something different. Again, it just means something different. It means something different that I wouldn't do with someone else's wife, and let alone the parent of my children. I wouldn't make that proposal. But I say all that to say, when I said that, they both looked at each other like, what? What is he talking about? And they started to turn red. Se pusieron rojos, cara rojas. And it was just extremely awkward. And it wasn't until after the fact, it was like outwardly awkward. You could tell. And it wasn't until I guided them out of the school and I went back and I was like, why did they respond that way? And I said, vamos a coger. Guys, to be honest, actually, what confirmed this was, I think at the time I had just started to implement the verb coger in my vocabulary. And I think later that day I used it with my students, and like a Guatemalan student and a Mexican student, and they looked at each other when they heard me say that. They were like, what the heck? Like, he just said that, and they started laughing. You know, children. They started laughing. And then later that day I texted my great friend Sharon. I was like, Sharon, yo dije coger, vamos a coger este papel. ¿Por qué se rieron entre ellas? And I asked her, like, why did they respond that way? And she's like, oh, Michael, you have to be careful using that word, coger, because in my country, it's not a curse word, but in Mexico, it's a curse word, and it means, you guys know what it means, that act. And so, again, these are just a few little small anecdotes that I think articulate the importance of learning curse words. Again, I'm not saying that you need to sprinkle curse words all throughout your Spanish, but I do think it's important for you to know them so that you know when you want to implement them into your Spanish. You know when people are saying inappropriate things to you. It's just important. It's an important part of language learning, and it's something that should not be shunned. It should be actively sought out, because, again, the common theme that I'm noticing is people saying, yeah, you shouldn't learn curse words. Curse words are bad. It's poor speech. You're not going to, you shouldn't learn them. I disagree completely. And again, there are a lot of countries that I would say a fair description of their dialect, of their common phrases that are specific to them, incorporate curse words. And so please don't shy away from learning them. It's going to be difficult for you to learn them in a book. But guys, in my course, and again, I'm not trying to sell it. You don't have to join the course. There's no pressure. Like, I don't need you guys to join the course. But I'm just saying, in the course, that's an example of something that I will have, like a complete breakdown of specific curse words from the countries that I'm familiar with curse words in. A complete breakdown of curse words in Colombia, so that you know when you're hearing these things, not that it's something that you need to use, but you need to know them so that if you hear them, you know what's going on. So to close this video, I want to just, again, stress the importance of taking time to emphasize and focus on and ask questions and possibly implement curse words into your Spanish learning process. Again, you don't have to actively use them, but you need to be familiar with them so that you're not thanking somebody for insulting you. Hint, hint, my example and one of my YouTube comments. To close this video, I would like to provide a little bit more clarity as it relates to this little course thing that I keep mentioning. Guys, what's the intention with this? Basically, it's a mix of things. And again, if you don't want to hear this, just cut off the video. Again, I'm not trying to sell you guys anything. You don't have to join it. But every day I get emails from people around the country, around the world, asking to, have a Zoom call with me to ask me certain questions. And because I'm just a regular guy that goes to Aldi and goes to Target and that has a regular job, that works in, just lives in suburban Georgia, like I'm not, no me creo tanto. Like I don't think I'm better than anybody. Like I can't respond to an email. You guys notice that's why I respond to every single YouTube comment. But it's getting a little overwhelming with me actually trying to live my life. And somebody's staring at me. There's a woman staring at me. Let me see if I can show you. See that lady right there? She's just staring at me. But yeah, it's getting a little tough to accommodate all of these requests. On top of that, you guys, most of you wouldn't notice it, but I did a very detailed video about a year ago, maybe 9 months ago, breaking down the Spanish from Colombia, like a full deep dive into Spanish from Colombia. It was removed simply because I used some Instagram clips from some YouTubers or Instagrammers, I don't know, that did a copyright strike against it. Basically, there's content that I would like to post, that I would like to share, that I can't on YouTube for either that reason or reasons that you probably saw in this video itself, where I want to tell you directly what coger means, but this is a public platform and my students watch this, and you know what I mean, I'm under certain responsibilities, there's accountability for things that I say. Not that I want to say anything crazy, but I would just like to directly tell you guys what coger means, right, in English. On top of that, I like that my channel right now is open to a wide audience. If you're a beginner, you can find value on my channel. If you're intermediate, you can find value on my channel. If you're advanced and you're fluent in Spanish, you can still find value in my channel. That's one thing that I like about it. If I start posting lessons on this channel, or just specific things that are specific for certain learning demographics, it will essentially, I'll be publicizing or publicando, I can't think in English. I'll be posting content that at times is for specific audiences, and I don't want to do that here. So long story short, what is this little course thing that I'm talking about? Again, no pressure to join. I'm still going to upload videos on this channel. I'm going to Panama very soon, and you guys will see a Panama series. I plan on getting street interviews in Panama. Again, tonight I'm booking another flight. Later in the year, I hope to either go to the Dominican Republic or Costa Rica, or I might do another Caribbean country like Barbados or something, but I don't know. Either way, this course, again, will be, I can't teach you the Spanish language. Somebody else left that comment, like, you can't claim to teach the language. That's not what this is claiming to do. But it is claiming to teach you how the subjunctive works. It is claiming to teach you how you say certain things in the past tense. It is claiming to clarify the difference between the different future tenses and the reason why. If you're saying ya voy, to say I'm going or I'm coming, why that makes sense. Because if you're learning that from a literal sense and somebody's like, yeah, are you coming? And I say ya voy. Already I go doesn't make sense to somebody who hasn't been taught what that means. And so explicit instruction in regards to how the Spanish language works is what you can expect from this course, along with monthly or even bi-weekly, meetups through Zoom. If you're in the metro Atlanta area or in the southeast, I've even had some people from New York fly down to Georgia. This was before my channel was bigger, and they just shot me an email and were like, hey Mike, can we meet up at Ponce City Market? And I met up with them. So like stuff like that is what I like to offer as well in the course, but in a more structured, closed-in environment where we can build some kind of community. And again, there's no pressure, no need, you don't have to join, you know what I mean? I kind of want it to be a specific demographic of person, and when I say that, I'm talking about a mentality to join. And so long story short, that's what it will be. Instruction, group trips that we will plan. And again, I have to put this behind a paywall, and why? I would hate for somebody to join this group with the wrong intentions. And it's not like somebody can still pay money and join with the wrong intentions, but it's typically a deterrent for people that are trying to find easy ways to do inappropriate things. If there's a deterrent there, if there's a paywall. And so I'm rambling a bit. I'm also distracted because I'm getting stared at in the streets. Have I really been talking for 5 minutes? Oh my gosh, give me 1 second. So again, lessons from beginner all the way to advanced to intermediate, breakdowns of Spanish from different countries, breakdown of slang, breakdown of different sayings that you will hear commonly that you cannot learn in a book. Like you just won't hear them in a book. If I say somos tal para cual, like where are you gonna learn that? That's what a video that I'll have in this course here. And so things like that, again, monthly Zoom meetups in a group setting. That's why I need to limit the number of people that join, because I don't want 500 people all on the same Zoom at, on a Saturday, on the first Saturday of every month. I can't answer questions that way. We can't interact that way. I mentioned the group trips. I mentioned that those of you that are in the local area, we could do meetups as well. And there are some other things that I'm considering doing as well on this course that I think will be extremely helpful. So, again, I just wanted to clarify that here. Again, it cannot teach you the language. It can, however, teach you how the language works. It can fast track you overcoming some miscommunication, some confusing things in the language. I wanted to say miscommunications, but that wouldn't make sense. Guys, los aprecio bastante. Oh, really quick. Again, I want to emphasize, no pressure. If you don't need to join, like you don't need to. It's only if you want to. No pressure at all. I get a weird, icky feeling even doing this, but I just know from tutoring that, like when I used to tutor, I would try to like charge super low, and what I would find is you'd essentially invite riffraff. I'd invite riffraff into my business by doing that. And so when I increased the cost of my tutoring sessions, I found that I got a more motivated family that wanted to work with me, a more dedicated family. And so that's the logic that I'm using to create this group. I would love to just do a free group where, people can just join and learn all these things. But again, that's when you'll get people that come in and like little other YouTubers that come in and steal my explanation, or you'll get people coming in trying to date in a group that's designed to be focused on learning a language, or you'll get people coming in calling me names or calling each other names. They're just doing nonsense, okay? And you guys get the point. I'm rambling way too much. I appreciate you guys. I don't know if this will be my last video before I do my Panama videos, and if so, I apologize for the delay in uploads. Again, I'm gonna travel, enjoy myself, record a little bit, come back, edit, and so there may be a 2 to 3 week delay between this video and the video that I record for you all next when I get back from Panama. But we'll see. I might come up with an idea and take out the camera really quick. I appreciate you guys so much, and I will see you guys in Panama.